Hello everyone, Mitch the Preacher here, preaching the gospel of gaming. We're continuing our series of What the Heck Is with Battlestate Games' Escape from Tarkov. So grab yourself a tea, a coffee, or maybe something stronger. Let's jump right in. Oh, that's hot. Escape from Tarkov is a multiplayer first-person shooter. The game is set in the fictional region of northwest Russia, where a war is taking place between two private military companies, the United Security, or USEC, and the Battle Encounter Assault Regiment, or BEAR. Players join matches in which they fight other players for loot and aim to survive and escape. Dying results in the loss of almost all items the player used and found during that game. This is what gives the game its hardcore feel, and what keeps me coming back for more. Gameplay involves entering a level or raid as a private military soldier, PMC, or as a scav, or scavenger. As the name of the game implies, the primary goal is to escape from Tarkov, or to escape from the specific location that you chose. At this time, there are 7 playable locations within Tarkov: Factory, Customs, Woods, Shoreline, Interchange, the Lab, and Reserve. Depending on which of these locations you choose will drastically determine not only the length of time that you have to extract from that map, but also how many other player characters you will be facing. Each location is also populated by AI-controlled enemies, which are also not to be taken lightly. Now that we've discussed what a raid involves, let's describe how your choice of scav or PMC changes that gameplay. If you choose to enter a raid as a scavenger, you will be given a preview of what loadout you will have when you begin that raid. As you become more familiar with the game, you will be able to identify certain weapons that the scav is holding and what armor, if any, you're going to be entering that raid with. Other than what you're able to see on your paper doll, players are given a random set of equipment instead of items that they've chosen from their personal stash, and you enter the raid at a random location with a random amount of time remaining in that raid. One significant advantage you get as a scavenger is that other AI-controlled scavengers will not be immediately hostile to you. However, be aware that other players can also enter into that raid as player-controlled scavengers who might not be as kind to you as the other AI scavengers are. And arguably the most deadly enemies that you'll encounter will be player-controlled PMCs, who will have been able to choose the loadout that they came into that raid with. Which brings us to entering a raid as a PMC. As a PMC, you choose the equipment that you're bringing into that raid. Also as a PMC, you enter that raid at its maximum timer. If it's a location designed to be a 15-minute raid or a 45-minute raid, the raid timer will begin at that point. So wherever you spawn, you should know the amount of time that you have to get from the point in which you are to the extract. And unless you enter with other teammates, it is a safe assumption that you are shooting on sight. As a PMC, you do also have a saving grace. Before entering the raid, you are given the ability to insure your weapons and equipment. In the event that you are killed, but your equipment is not looted from your body or taken out of the raid, extracted with, there is a chance that you will regain that equipment with an amount of time determined by who you chose to insure the equipment with. I would strongly recommend that you insure all weapons and equipment each raid, as I have often been surprised at what equipment I end up getting back. Now outside of raid, you will spend the majority of your time in one of 3 places: your personal stash, the trader or flea market, or your hideout. The personal stash is where you will choose the equipment loadouts that your PMC will enter a raid with. Those that are familiar with the Diablo franchise will immediately find the grid-based inventory to be quite familiar, and it doesn't take long before your personal stash ends up looking like a Tetris nightmare. The traders and flea market are where players will sell their unwanted loot and purchase new equipment. These traders also task the player with completing quests which increase their trader loyalty, enabling access to more and better items and tasks. And finally, players have an upgradable hideout living area, which is an underground bomb shelter that once upgraded with scavenged or purchased materials, gives the players in-game bonuses. Also, it gives the player the ability to craft important items. The final thing I wanted to discuss in Escape from Tarkov, and what really separates it from other military simulation games, is its approach to realism. Weapons can be built by the player by customizing all its constituent parts, such as selecting dust covers, grips, stocks, and scopes. They can equip their character with military equipment including armored vests, armored rigs, bulletproof helmets. In-game, the player has fine-grained control over the character's movement speed and crouch height. To check how much ammunition is still in their weapon requires checking the magazine manually. No on-screen counter is provided. The game also has a health system whereby each of the character's limbs has hit points. Taking damage requires specific types of medical supplies to address wounds, such as bandages for bleeding. The game models realistic ballistics, including features such as ricochets and bullet penetration. Even searching containers and bodies takes time, as each item is revealed individually while the player searches. The player must also monitor their energy and hydration levels over the course of a raid. All of this adds up to an incredibly immersive and realistic experience. One that I think that you will enjoy as much as I have. Escape from Tarkov is available from Battlestate Games directly at escapefromtarkov.com. I hope you enjoyed another video in my What the Heck Is series. Please do hit that subscribe button for future content. Leave me a thumbs up and a comment to let me know what you'd like to see next. This has been Mitch the Preacher, preaching the gospel of gaming, and remember, if you're not having fun, what's the point?